And we'll start with Ehsan Rezayat, who's a postdoc in the brain computing lab of Mohammed Reza Akhani at the Institute for Research in Fundamental Sciences in Iran. And Rezayat will talk about frontotemporal coordination predicts neural signatures of working memory in sensory areas. So Ehsan, if you please share your screen.
Is it share?
Yes, works fine. Thank you.
Okay, let me start. Hi everyone. Thank you for Christoph for introduction. My title is Frontotemporal Coordination Predicts Neural Signature of Working Memory in Sensory Areas, and I'm happy to be here. Let me. Okay. As we know, the working memory is a high-order cognitive function that many areas in the brain contribute in that, and we need to manipulate information that we have held in our working memory or focus attention on that. And this sign of evidence shows that we need to PFCs on the working memory neural substrate. There is two scenarios for working memory. One of them is classic view as a persistent activity that some traditional view says that some neurons in the brain maintain their persistent activity during the delay, and the review paper by Levity et al. Shows that areas that showing persistent activity. And there is another view is the role of synchrony in the maintenance of working memory, that some evidences propose that interaction between areas for PFC parietal, PFC sensory areas, and also PFC hippocamp have a role for maintenance of working memory. There is two different view for description of role of neural substrate of working memory. And another new paper that's come for 2019 that shows that interaction between frontotemporal network could, by microstimulation by TDCS, can retire the working memory performance of elder people to be same as people, young people. And our idea is can brain oscillation between PFC and sensory area in temporal cortex have a role in the working memory. We recorded from FEF and IT from single chamber of two monkeys and determined the receptive field of FEF based on microstimulation, and the monkey performed an object working memory task. He fixated, then a sample shows in the receptive field of FEF or in opposite side, and after the delay, the sample appeared in another location, and the monkey needs to memorize the sample identity and not the sample location doesn't have any information for the monkey to perform the task correctly. This is a little hard task for monkey, and because the sample appear in the periphery, and monkey should covertly see that, and the performance of monkey should be around 70 to 80%. We analyzed the neural activity from each area FEF at above and IT for three preferred, intermediate, and non-preferred objects, and location in and out for receptive field of FEF. And interestingly, we didn't find difference between correct and wrong trial between FEF and IT. There is a slightly small difference between FEF firing rate, but there is no difference in IT for correct and wrong for preferred condition and in condition for FEF. Also, we look at the power of within area LFP power for FEF and IT, and there is no significant difference between correct and wrong. Interestingly, we calculated phase locking across area between FEF and IT, and we found that in beta band, there is a significant difference between correct and wrong. And there is first and strong evidence that showed the performance of monkey across sessions and difference monkey session for each monkey colored in green and blue here. Another question that we had was that how this synchrony can play a role. There is a recent review paper that proposed some hypothetical evidence for role of synchrony to describing the role of oscillation in the high order cognitive function and transform information across area, temporal coordination, freeze, communication through coherence idea, communication subspace, and third area role. We try to figure out that how this synchrony across area could help for maintenance of information in IT. We calculated phase locking for single trial, summation across time, and divided trials, correct trials between high and low PPL trials, and calculate the object discrimination in IT firing rate at each of these groups. And we found that for high PPL trial, when the IT taught with FEF, the ROC in the delay is more than low trials. And this is not dependent to the beta power of FEF or IT, that if we divided or randomly divided the trial in the two groups. And this is just for in receptive field of FEF for condition that receptive field of FEF is activated on that, and for out there is no effect difference between high and low trial, high and low, and also we selected the neurons that are object selective during the delay for this analysis. For all of neuron, we calculated the correlation between if how much the neuron is object selective, the difference between high and low, and for in and out. And there is a significant correlation, positive correlation for in conditions versus out condition. To summarize, for first finding, we found that the interarea beta coupling predict performance, and when two areas were more strongly phase-locked, the spiking activity in IT have a greater capacity for maintenance memory content. The team that work on that is a different location. Me and Kelsey recorded data from Ishbanki's. Kelsey recorded for Trin's lab in the Stanford by Behrad, and me and Reza recorded data in Iran. And this is the all author, and this is our lab in Iran at IPM under supervision of Reza, that's here. And I would thank for this COXI cognitive council in the Iran that support us in Iran. Also, Trin and Behrad have other grant from other in US. Thank you, and this is my last slide. Any question?
Okay, thank you, Ehsan. Yeah, so if you have questions, just post them in the Q&A window. And so we have one question here from Mohammad Amin Samipur. He asks, while your result is in favor of the synchrony view of working memory, how to reject the classic view of working memory? Could you or should you this in your results?
As the important point is that the FEF is, as we know, is a special area and code the location. But our task is the object identity coding. The main question was that for us was that why the FEF maintained this persistent activity during the delay. We are seeking to try any interaction to other sensory area and provide the evidence to shows that this activity have a role in the question, in the task. But another main point that we found for response to reviewer of paper, that we have positive correlation between object location selectivity and the level of synchrony across areas. And this is another sign that for this part, the FEF has a role. And also we found that the FEF phase is have positive lag to the IT, and we conclude that this signal correlationally maybe comes from FEF to IT.
Okay, thank you. Maybe one question from my side, because we also still have some time. So you showed a couple of different hypotheses or theories, yes, exactly, about how synchrony could play a role in communication. And your results, do they support all of them, or is there one that's not compatible with your results?
This is a good question, but and our question for the next project, we are going to work on that. As we know, the phase locking is a correlational measure, and we cannot rule out another hypothetical, maybe third area synchronize two areas which are each other, and another way maybe two areas, one of them make synchrony between them. We are trying to manipulate PFCs and also recording from two areas in the downstream IT and before, and try to find which of these hypotheses maybe works. The main point that here we have is that this interaction, intra-areal interaction has a role in the IT's selectivity and IT's role in the object maintenance. And this is the main point that our presentation right now, but that question comes from after our manipulation study, and that we are going to work on that right now.
Okay, thank you again, Ehsan. So we come to our next speaker now.